There we go. Stream should be live. And we're here. Hello and welcome to the stream. This is the weekly art team office hours. And I'm Aegis Wolf, part of the art team of Resonite, here to answer questions that people have asked about content creation within Resonite, or using Resonite as a tool in creative use, and general questions about Resonite itself. Right now we're just in my grid space at the moment, just hanging out. Yeah, it's just me today. Rue has been busy today, so he isn't able to stop by. Also, welcome to the stream, Arxelis. I'm gonna set up a few things. Was just kind of fixing up my avatar a little bit. May as well showcase some of the things I've been doing. Some small things, mainly just a couple of fixes on the tools itself, mainly the Protoflux tool, and definitely more to come, but mainly the fix was removing the colliders on the tool labels when you select a Protoflux tool or Protoflux node. It's a couple more adjustments to do, but went ahead and updated the tools that were within the Cloud Home as well. They were still using the old ones, so that's actually one of the reasons why I went through and updated all the tools, is because some of them are laid out across on a table there in the Cloud Home. And same with the crossbow and bow within there. As I'm going to make a devlog about this soon, probably after the stream. But within Resonate Essentials examples, I've created a new projectile system, or an update to it. Welcome to the stream, Baplar. Actually, let me get the bow and crossbow as well. And even this little thing too. I went through, updated the model of this, and thanks of some folks, we updated the or not particle system. This uses the particle system, not the projectiles. Modern helped me with that by messing around with the parameters. As the old version of this thing used just the old version of the Unity particle system. Now this uses photon dust. Same with the bow and crossbow. Went through and updated the effects on that too. I'm grabbing my UI. Ceiling stretching as far as the eye can see. Well, it's not only like very tall, it's also slightly moving. This world is kind of inspired a little bit by Tron. And you can change the color of it too. Let me showcase this world a bit. I do plan on releasing this world at some point when I get a chance. Let me switch to first person here. So I can like change the color of this just by messing around with this color picker here. I'll make it red this time. I also made a cool effect here too, where I can change the size of the walls in the world and procedurally generate them. It's a little bit heavy, but the frames usually stabilize once it's done. So I had a prototype rain generator using a similar method, but gotta figure out how to speed up its generation. That's mainly the issue I'm having with it. But I want to use this world as a way of kind of like a developer's playground to put examples of like things, whether it be like components or uh, protoflux, ways of building things, kind of like a way to store like what I've learned over the years to share with other folks. Kind of like a tutorial, but more like a playground in a way to just mess around with things. And we do have a question now from VT Arxelis. While I'm thinking about it, the updates break the multi. Will the updates break the multi-tool or will it adjust automatically? The reason why I ask is because I integrated the standard multi-tool into a personal item. So, with the multi-tool system right now, it's basically set up with snappers and dynamic variables. People can make their own multi-tool systems with their own like setups and that, but we figured set up one where it's like an example of what a multi-tool could look like if you make one. You don't necessarily, for new users, don't necessarily need to use these multi-tools. It's best to learn each of the tools individually, but to answer that question more directly, the plan is if there's an update that is like large enough that would overhaul the tools, we would be overhauling the tools anyways at that point and updating it, so things might not be compatible with newer versions of it, but that's like if the fundamentals of the tools change. But with the things that Fruits wants to add, I don't think it'll change the fact that we would need to remove or change out the variable names or anything like that. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Plus, before we made or a little bit after I made the initial updates of these tools within the essentials, I did put under tools, miscellaneous. There's a folder in there. This houses the tools prior to the update that we've done on the tools. As I've been going through and cleaning up our internal folders and archiving things from, well, going from Frux's words directly, it's best to archive everything. So if it comes to it where we update the tools, there will be a version of the tools that will be archived and accessible to everyone. So I honestly doubt it that will have. I can fix that. Yeah, that fixes it. Yeah. In regards to the tool changing system itself, I still have to rewrite it to work with desktop at some point, but I figured release it now since folks are still able to swap to different tools, the default tools using your keyboard. And yeah, it is a little bit difficult trying to position the radio menu in hand. I think what I might do is have a separate menu just for desktop or some root or so that it'll swap to depending on what you're using. One of the next things that hopefully will get released for folks to be able to play around with is the updated Dawn Skybox, one where you're able to change the time of day using the tool. There is a new version of the tool within the essentials right now. Just I didn't really make a devlog about it yet because it doesn't really work with the old stuff. But I figured I'd have it ready in case for folks to mess around with. The reason why is because the variables have been changed to match the way that variables or names within Resonite's code itself goes as well. It's just a naming convention thing we're following. I agree, Babbler, with like the utility of the tools or the multi-tool with desktop versus or VR versus desktop, but the fact that you can basically make your own custom tools within here would be pretty good to do. And also the fact that you can essentially duplicate these slots, because each of these are individual like slots that are just independent. You can duplicate them as many times as you want. That being more slots and everything, but this is a good amount of tools. There's definitely a lot that we've been doing for this update for like the beginner's experience. Some small, some larger, but we're also working on business client stuff too at the same time. And one thing I'd like to also like continuously state or kind of give a PSA about is this update isn't really like the full update of the tutorial system that we're doing. It's too much work to rework it entirely, so what we're doing is refurbishing what we have right now, adding the fixes that people have found over the time it's been out, and adding some critical features that we would like to add in that we have the time to, because we're trying to time this with the update of the performance update. And during that, I know Bob has explained on the recap stream that we're wanting to do a marketing push after the a little bit just after the performance update, and after that started, we'll have plenty of more time to do a modular and narrative experience for new users coming into here, being able to learn what you want to learn about, whether it be building, socializing, or finding games or worlds to go into. Albeit there'll be an easier way of finding worlds that are hosted by people with this update, with the inclusion of the teleporter, which I do know is installed in the tutorial world, and that makes me want to go over there and showcase it. Uh, Let me get that world opened. So I just remembered that was actually installed in there. For a while, Ryovi has been working on setting that up, but once we get more time to actually flesh things out, it'll be much nicer going through and making a... Oh, I meant... There we go. I'm gonna see if I can take chat with me. I have two chat dialogues, so there's already one back in the other world. I figured I'd into here. Also, if you're wondering about that sound effect, that's just on my avatar. There we go. So, definitely a couple of fixes that we've done some material work fixes, and I know there was like one of the controllers that was backwards. There's still a lot of stuff to do, like rebake the reflection probes and lighting. It's like one of the things we're trying to save for last, because there's like a lot of things we set up and updated throughout the time, and if you add new assets in that, they won't show up in the reflection probes. So doing that last would be pretty good to do. Also updated the sun gun here to be the new one. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Well, that was the eclipse. One of the recommendations was to add like a little hint for the doorway. Right now there's no locale string for it yet. But it's ready. Some of the additions as well that was being made is going to have like information about mentors within here. And I do see a Rue popping online, so we might have a Rue join us. But the main two additions here to the tutorial is a brief explanation of the dash and the new tutorial. There we go. Let's check out the new teleporter. Of course, when you pop in, walk towards the teleporter, this new UI comes up. Still some locale strings need to be added, but you can either join a public session, your cloud home, or the avatar gazebo. And this will also be in the essentials, so that people can take it to any world they want, or it'll be in their cloud home, it'll be in the avatar gazebo. Yeah, and of course in the tutorial. So if I click join a public session, it'll show all the public sessions that are available. To answer your question, Arxelis, it'll be in your inventory technically, so yes. Because everybody has access to the essentials, so... I think Ravy should add a back button for this. Wonder if I can get a tool to change it. I'll poke them after the stream to add a back button.
Hello.
Welcome. Show and stream the new teleporter, since Ravy now has it in world. Oh, I forgot, it's actually selecting the tutorial prompts. One of the reasons why we're, I remember now that this entire system is probably just going to be scrapped for something new, is the fact that we now have spatial variables within Resonite. So it'll be incredibly easy setting up UI prompts and like events that happen in specific areas for tutorials.
We can replace the doors with spatial variables now too.
Yes. As well as there was fake reverb sounds within this world and a cloud home and such. We don't need them anymore because we can have spatialized reverb in here too. So, actually that's one thing we could set up today is the reverb zones later.
Oh yeah.
Cross-dimensional teleporter standalone UI. There's gotta be a way to reset it. Session page. Alright.
Someone mentioned having like a throwable version. I made something like that, like eons ago. You could just throw it down and it would expand it into a platform and do stuff with it.
That'd be interesting. Almost like a deployable, like, platform.
It was like a little deployable workstation.
Actually, I might consider reopening this world, but the other two options pretty much just send you to the Cloud Home or the Avatar Gazebo.
It's nice that we have the feature to be able to list like section categories now, so that we can make all kinds of fun UI, like public sections or avatars or other worlds.
Definitely. I also have my grid space open too, so we might hop over there. Pretty
Okay.
much covered what was updated here. Marcellus has another question. Or like in addition to the idea of like a deployable teleporter. One way you could do too, and what this teleporter does, is it preloads the world as it's doing its animation. So you could utilize that functionality to make it so that the world will load while you have like an animation starting, and then as soon as you walk through it, you instantly go to the other world. I'm not sure, but I think there's like a way to even make it so that you can leave the previous world you're in. But yeah. Want to head over to the other world?
Sure.
I'll invite you there. Okay, good. Chat followed me. Let's invite Rue. And close that other world. There we go. Vaplar has a question. What you said about spatial variables and automatic doors got me thinking about how to implement that in practice. I'm thinking of setting up a spherical variable with a certain radius and auto-inject a slot of the avatar builder, and setting up a sampler on each door that would trigger its opening if a non-empty value is sampled. You'll need to experiment.
What's fun is that you can set up something that can track people pretty much however you want, that doesn't actually need to be parented to them. You want to show them, or
Was it
here? Let me just open it real quick.
yeah, it'll be a good thing to kind of
Empty object. So we're gonna set up this empty object like you would for the sampler. So you can throw your spherical harmonic sampler on here, and if you want this to move somewhere, the way I like to do it is with transform drivers. And there is where is it? Position at user node, or a component. Sorry. If you click position at local user, it will automatically position it locally for every user, right where their head is in this case. But you can set it to view.
View would make more sense because you would also have that third-person camera that you can select. Therefore, you can have it be affected by that view camera as well.
once you set these to view, it will follow where their viewpoint is no matter what. If they're in third person view, if they're in flying camera, if they're in their avatar, like it just tracks them that way. And then you can set your sampler on this and have it affect the things that they are nearest. So like if someone's flying around in their head camera, they can still open doors or interact with other spatial variable objects.
Another way of doing this is using colliders.
And you only need one. So you don't have to duplicate slots either. It's always just one object that is already localized via the component.
So I'm going to make another empty object. So say you have a... there's another way of doing it too. So we're going to go to physics here. Colliders, let's just start with the box collider here. So right now it's a static one, but I'm going to switch it to trigger. And we're going to add another thing under physics, utility, collider user tracker. It pretty much does what it says. It tracks what's inside. Right now we don't have collections, so you can't entirely access all the users inside, but you have like a set of Boolean triggers right here, or outputs. Is any user inside it, or is the local user is inside? So say if any user is inside, it'll open for everyone, or if you want it only to activate for the user that's there. People have used this for culling as well.
Mm-hmm. I think going forward, I would recommend this version over the other one because it uses like two components and a single slot, at least in its most simplest form. Because you would just need the sampler and then the position at user on the NP objects you could float. Sampler.
The only thing that you're gonna have to figure out how to do is to globalize whatever it touches. So what I mean is make it so that, say, if you open a door, it opens the door for everyone, not just you. So that's the only thing I am not sure exactly yet how to do it, but this would be really good for like localized effects. Like say if you go underwater, you have like a water effect filter going around, or sound effects. Say if you're indoors, you only hear like the reverb zone indoors.
I believe all you have to do is create like a data model store somewhere in between like the actions. So if you have the door opening on a Boolean,
It writes
if
to
you
it.
put a yeah.
Yeah, that one makes sense. Or like it writes to a dynamic variable.
There
As
are
well.
some cases as well where a local thing happening for a user, that user will update that object globally, even though the thing they're activating it with is local, because they're sending the update.
Yeah.
And Beplar says, I heard that the big one drawback of using colliders for that kind of stuff is that it breaks for users who know collide locomotion. You know if that also applies to spatial variables, considering they also use Beppu under the hood. So if you have a tracker, like a sampler, sorry, on a user, like parented to them, and they are in no clip, yes, it won't affect it. I'm pretty sure.
This is
Same thing goes
object.
for like. Yeah. However, if you do it this way, where it's not parented under the user, it should track them even if they're in no clip without any extra steps. In the case of using an active collider, you would have to do basically something similar where you have the trigger collider following along the player. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers it a bit.
Yep, and that covers the different ways of doing it too. Another way is mathematically, like, telling if a user's within a volume or a radius, but that is not really necessary when you have like something like spatial variables or even colliders.
Mm-hmm.
As I know folks used that mathematically driven way for dealing with like people in no clip and such, but it only works for, say, like boxes or spheres, and it might just only be like limited to the grid space. Like if it's rotated a certain way, you have even more math to calculate.
Well, if you just got like the person's position and you knew the object's position, it'd be pretty easy to just do a distance check on it.
Yeah,
But it's it's it would be a little bit, I guess, harder unless you had some kind of automatic thing set up for the position of the doors rather than just saving their static position. Um, Spatial variable one is just easier.
yep.
Colliders are also somewhat like heavier than the samplers, just because colliders are always kind of checking for things, especially if they're set to trigger. Your hand lasers also interact with them, even when you're not like using the lasers on your hand. And hand lasers use a different kind of calculation because they're wobbly. They're using something called sweep raycasting, and that takes up a little bit of performance whenever it goes over certain types of colliders.
Bendy lasers. Noodle lasers.
If anyone would like to know where those nodes are, or components are for spatial variables, they are in, let me see here.
Data.
Yes, data. There we go. There it is. Spatial. And then you have these here. Like, for instance, you would just probably throw a value spatial variable driver onto here. We'll do float. You can just set the name and the drive, and there you go.
Oh, I do have a example of spatial variables as well in the Resonite Essentials. Under Resonite Essentials examples, you'll see what looks to be 3 different spheres right here, and a set of protoflux going on right here. And so, while you grab this, it changes the number when you touch each of the spheres. So I put it in here, it's a 7. If I put it here, it's an 11. And technically, you can make it so that, say, you have a number 0 to 1, depending on how far you are from the center, it would also work as well. Just like if we look into the, well, this is the spatial variable drive, but you could have it basically
It is a
spherical gradient. There we go.
that might be the start end one. Here. Float. There you go.
There. And another thing to note too, just like with grabbables and reflection probes, you have a priority as well. Which one? Say if these two spheres are intersecting with each other, like
Like a smaller sphere inside the larger sphere.
yeah, and I go to this one, and I set the priority to 2.
-2.
Oh yeah. The higher
Spatial
the number,
variables use negative numbers.
the higher the number, the lower the priority. The lower the number, the higher the priority. So right now it's 11 when I go into here, as it's still being affected by it. It's as soon as I touch it, it's still acts.
I think because it's scaled, it might have different bounds than what the visual mesh is representing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it's 1.5 scale. There you go.
That works. This should
Oh,
help
it's
folks.
1.5 scale because I spawned it out the other day when we were fixing it, and you saved it. We forgot to reset the scale. We
That
should do that later.
that explains it. That's
I
a
was like, why is it my scale?
that's a quick fix. Oh, I also realized no matter this scale, the scale of the spherical variable is still the same. You see
Yep.
that? Okay.
So the sampler is a point in space, and the variables, or sorry, the like these spheres here are the only thing that actually tell you the distance.
Okay, this is a better visualization. So the green one has priority over the blue, or the upper one. So if I bring this sphere, it's still 7, and then it overrides to an 11 even though it's entirely in the bottom sphere. And then it just takes priority.
What is this, sphere A here? Let's see here.
Sphere A is the lower one, and then sphere B is the one that you hold, and then sphere C is the upper one.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Ugh. Hiccup.
Oh. When we refresh this, we need to drive the radius of the sphere constant value spatial with the sphere collider's radius. That way it takes the same shape as the sphere. It's slightly larger than it right now.
Okay, yeah, that's a simple fix.
Yep.
We'll
I've been
update
doing a
that
bunch of
after
stuff with
this.
spatial variables lately. I set up an entire dynamic reflection probe system. I think we showed it off last stream as well. I made a few changes to it. Works a little bit better. It's in the essentials now too. Before you use it, please note that we do have a few issues with reflection probes that we're trying to resolve. But it is in a usable state for maps if people want to like try it out or try to see how it's set up. If you wanted to just use the real-time reflection probe that it comes with, that one works perfectly fine. I haven't been able to find any issues with it. So yeah, the only thing that's wrong with the static ones is they seem to be taking a while to update or bake with the asset variant system.
And a couple of bugs that we've either reported or collected for the coders to look at.
Are these chats updating?
Yeah.
Well, if anyone else has any questions, we'll be here for another 20 minutes. So.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't really gone over this as much. Yeah, it's usually slow during the Wednesdays at times. Sometimes it's pretty busy.
We also put this tool into the essentials. We finished up this one. I rewrote the thing. Pretty much does what it says on the tin. It can either delete a hierarchy of children slots, or it can move them around, replace them. So if you're working on a large map with a lot of similar named objects, like plants or rocks or other building things like lamps, maybe you have a bunch of decorative stuff set up. This thing can change them if you ever need to change a whole bunch of them at the same time. I was trying to think back to like the things we've used it for. A lot of it's honestly just like plants and rocks.
And
But there was one
furniture.
case. Yeah, there was one case. I think I was working on Veer's World. We replaced all the lamps in there. We don't have to do that again.
There's some old Dawn assets I'd like to help them update, as it still uses like the old texture set, etc.
Yep.
One thing I'd kind of want to go a little bit deeper on is this projectile system. As if I crack this open right now, it has gone through a lot of iterations, and plenty of folks helped us out to build it. And it's a completely customizable raycast and projectile system with plenty of variables to mess around with. You make your own templates for the projectiles, any effects you want it to do, any kind of like physical based like parameters like velocity, how much drag it has, ricochet, even has like a debug mode as well. And it has a guidance mode as well too, so I can like turn that on. Let's do 0.25. And let's turn on the firing flux. And I can make these little projectiles follow where I'm pointing. So let me make it very slow so you can see what's going on. Velocity will be 0.1. Oh, it's also affected by gravity too. Project. To answer your question, Arxelis, what it does, it first does a raycast. It has a raycast that is in front of it. It has a certain range, because if you use a projectile at this range, it wouldn't make sense computationally wise, because you're just kind of creating unnecessary data created. So what it does, it just shoots a raycast and does a decal. And I even made it so that raycast system has a ricochet threshold as well. I think I turned it off for this one, but you can make it ricochet as well too. But if the ricochet is at a certain range, it'll just shoot a projectile instead. And on the projectile itself, it's raycasting every frame at a certain range so it can accurately hit something. And then from there, it deletes the projectile and then places a decal. You can also even make the decal align with the normal or the base that it hits, or just the angle of the projectile, just like these arrows right here. There is one bug I'd like to warn people about it right now. It is reported, I did make a GitHub about, but if you shoot a projectile, and while that projectile still has like particles and stuff, if you delete it, that could crash you at the moment. So, fair warning. It was a bug with photon dust. It's because it's trying to delete something that doesn't exist. So I'm going to change to the other guidance mode. Okay. Yeah, there's a mode where it just follows the rotation of the system. A mode where it follows like a laser that's projected from the front. And another one where it creates an object for it to track. It's actually kind of oh, it's because I disabled it hitting users, so if I shoot this, it creates a little object for it to follow. And it
There's not a lot to touch it.
yeah, it tries its best, but gravity wins sometimes. By default, if I go to the raycast variables, the can hit user is turned off. Oh, I forgot there's also that mode as well. There's a thing in some games where they use a hybrid of a raycast and a projectile system. Halo's known for this, where if you're in a game, you point your reticle of your weapon towards an enemy, and it'll turn red. This was done in Halo 2, where it'll use a laser raycast instead of a physical bullet to hit your target. So there's a raycast range as well too, just for that. So if I go into raycast user hit distance, I turn that down to 1. Now it shouldn't just automatically hit me because if I hold on to this, it's still a part of me. And you can have like different effects or sounds whenever it hits a user. So it can make like magic missiles or locking on missiles or rockets. Or you can potentially use it to animate like a creature flying through the sky using actual gravity and such. Magic missiles full of rockets, full of darts. I mean, one thing I thought about too is how you would create like a cluster bomb effect whenever it hits something. So say when it explodes or like deletes itself, uh, at that point you would just reference another system on top of it, which would be like the almost like sub-emitters of particles, where it'll use whatever it hits as a reference, and then literally just shoot another set of projectiles around it. I know in Borderlands there was a gun called the Conference Call, and all it does, it's a shotgun. It shoots all of the bullets, and all those bullets shoot more bullets like from the sides, and then from those bullets it shoots even more bullets from the bullets that it shot out from the first bullets that you shoot, and so it just becomes a wave of bullets going across. Heat-seeking killer bees. Okay, somebody's going to put the like a Minecraft bee on like this and make it follow users.
It reminds me of the bees we set up for Sojourner.
Oh no. I do have the 3D model of that. That was literally made out of spheres and a cone. I'm gonna go into my like models folder that I specifically have just for procedural mesh. It's probably in there. There it is. There's the bee. Okay, you know what? We're doing it. I'm gonna show you how easy it is. Let's do templates, So I got a whole bunch of templates here. That's the embedded projectile. Although, let's start with the projectile itself. Is this the whole thing? Yep. Actually, to make this easier, I'm gonna make a pivot point on it. And then bring two. How big is it? Not too bad. We also make this projectile visible. It's also a sound effect for when the projectile flies past you. Which would make more sense if the bee is going like this towards you. So I'm gonna do that roughly. And then let's just put it under there, under the visual. Hide this. Make this non-grabbable. And then let's also duplicate this and put this under the embedded projectile. Hide that. And hide that for now. Why is it not?
Because you hid the thing itself, but you need to hide the mesh render.
Wait a minute, did I break? Oh,
Yeah, you hit the
I
bullet.
I know what happened here. This thing has colliders on itself, so it's colliding with itself.
Oh.
So, I'll answer your question in a moment. Just realized something here. Let's just glue it all together. And, yeah, decal I don't need to really worry about. Projectile, visual, bake that one as well. It's fine. Now we can hide it. B. Okay, it's not showing up. Oh, that doesn't look right. Well, oh, it's because I baked something when it's not visible. Okay, now if I do this...
There you go.
I don't think that's... Well, that's very close.
I noticed when you had it out earlier, the position for the arrow was offset. Yeah, like that.
Okay, so the Wait.
Visuals in front of the projectile.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me just adjust this. And then we'll be good. Actually, let's adjust it slightly. Where's the origin of this visual? Okay, I see.
Yeah, right there.
So we put it over here. Hide this now. Hide that. Now you can recreate the bee gun from Terraria. Gosh. Wait, that gun also tracks, so you can even make the tracking capability of it too. Oh man.
Did we add the pride flags to the essentials?
That is something we should do. A good place to put it. Should it be in the... Well, it should be in its own folder, I think, as well. In the assets, Resonite assets, textures, sprites, and materials. Yeah, I think it should be there.
Yeah.
Or you think it should be also in the press kit?
No, I think it should just be in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a new folder under textures, sprites, and images. We'll just have sprite flags. So yes, you hear it on stream now. We are going to be adding these to the assets so that people can use them for what they want.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll add them to Resonite Essentials assets, Resonite assets, and a folder under the texture, sprites, and images.
The reason why we're doing Resonite assets is because there's folders in there that we have for like textures and stuff. Whereas I guess technically they are CCO, so we could put them in CCO.
We'll figure out the place to put them after stream.
Either way, they will be in there.
Yes.
I already have the updated versions of them right now, so we can probably do it after stream real quick. That way people can mess around with them.
We'll make a devlog to where they are, so people can easily find them.
We've got about 3 minutes left if people want to ask some last second questions.
I'm gonna save this version. Makes me want to make a 3D model of it because all it is a 2D sprite. Actually, I could make it out of procedural meshes just like I did with the bee itself. Let's save it in.
Fleur asks what we have been playing recently. Well, when we haven't been on Resonite, I've been on Vintage Story and Star Wars Battlefront 2, the EA one. Both are pretty good games. I highly recommend checking them out. Battlefront 2 was made like in 2017, but it has had a kind of like resurgence as of late. So if you like Star Wars, they made that game from pay to win to just fun in general to play. Like they stripped all the microtransactions and everything. And then Vintage Story it's kind of like Minecraft, but they're doing it their own way. The only similarity it has to Minecraft is that it's voxel terrain generation. But it's a very like hardcore survival game. It is very unforgiving, but it's fun. It's a little indie game that I don't think a lot of people know of. They don't do a lot of advertising, and it's not on Steam.
It's like that kind of game where you have to learn like Stone Age to like Bronze to Iron Age survival skills. You have to like build things from like stone spears to making pottery, and
you like nap stones in order to make tools and things. It's crazy.
And build shelters and serve foods to survive the winter. Otherwise, you'll starve to death.
Also, hello, Angel Boy. We were just talking about Vintage Story in the last couple minutes of the stream.
Yep. Games I've been playing have been either Halo Master Chief Collection, bit of Voices of the Void here and there, and as of late, managed to dump the old ROM of a Wipeout game on a PSP that I had. Been trying to play that on an emulator lately. 100%ing it, trying to get all the gold medals in there.
Well, unless anyone has any other questions, I think that might be it for today.
Yeah. I hope you all.
Thank you guys for coming and checking out the stream.
Yeah.
Talking with us.
We'll be most likely around next week on Wednesday, around same time. And hope you all have a good evening or morning, depending on where you are. You all take care.
Bye-bye. Have a good Wednesday.
Yeah.